time travel, wormholes, parallel dimensions. If you will spend more time on this platform, you will probably see plenty of wild theories about the nature of reality, but one concept keeps coming back. The idea that our universe began with a single cataclysmic event known as the Big Bang? In today's episode, we're going to be rewiring history to answer a truly massive question. What if the Big Bang never happened? This is History Rewired, a series where we take alternate history, dive deep into them, and find out what would happen if the past played out in a different way. Let's get started. Part 1, quick reality check. Okay, before we do a deep dive on our main topic, let's start off with a quick reality check. This may sound obvious, but we're going to spend the rest of this video speculating about what would happen if the Big Bang didn't kick off our universe. So just to make sure we're on the same page, let's do a super quick explicable. Okay, so the Big Bang is the leading theory for how our universe began. Roughly 13.8 billion years ago, everything matter, energy, space, even time itself was crammed into a single, unimaginably small point. Then it expanded. And from that expansion came galaxies, stars, planets, and eventually us. Scientists know this because we can still see the afterglow of the Big Bang. Cosmic microwave background radiation, faint energy spread across the entire sky. It's like the universe's baby picture. Now, as for where scientists got that idea, well, it comes down to two things: logic and evidence. First, let's talk about logic. Look around you. Everything is moving. Cars, trees, your pet iguana. But on a larger scale, everything is also moving. Galaxies are orbiting around the center of the Milky Way. Galaxies themselves are moving away from each other. And the farther away a galaxy is, the faster it's moving. If that's the case, and if we turn back the clock, it means that at one point they must have all been close together. Now, as for evidence, we don't need to go back too far. All over the world, scientists have witnessed exploding stars called supernovas. These explosions are so bright, they temporarily outshine the light from their host galaxies. In other words, they're basically giant cosmic light bulbs. And when they go off, they leave behind weird, puffy clouds of dust. When astronomers analyzed this stuff, they found something incredible. Almost all of it is hydrogen and helium, the simplest elements on the periodic table. And when they looked at more distant stars, they noticed that those stars were redder than expected. That meant the stars were cooler, less massive, and chemically simpler. In other words, the further they looked into space, the further back in time they were seeing taken together. The movement of galaxies and the composition of the cosmos all point toward the same conclusion. The Big Bang? Part 2. No Big Bang. No universe. So now that we've covered some basic science, let's finally get to the good stuff. What if the Big Bang never happened? Before we answer the question, let's clarify the terms. We were not talking about a world where the Big Bang happened differently or created a slightly altered version of our universe. We're asking what would happen if the Big Bang never occurred at all. In that case, the best starting point is literally the beginning of our hypothetical timeline. 0 seconds before the Big Bang, there is no space, no time, no rules. At 0 seconds, the universe suddenly begins. Energy condenses into space. Time itself kicks into gear. Elementary particles come into being and begin interacting. Stars and planets form, and somewhere in the vastness of space, dinosaurs evolve, roam, and go extinct. All without ever triggering the chain of events that leads to the formation of a solar system or the creation of intelligent life. Now you might be thinking, wait a second, if the Big Bang didn't happen, how did anything come into being? And that's a great question. The thing is, if the Big Bang didn't happen, we wouldn't exist to ask the question. And without us, there's no framework to ask what happens if... And that's why we're doing our best to simulate it. So with that in mind, let us put aside our hypothetical dinos and fast forward to a few billion years after the non-Big Bang. According to our simulation, if the Big Bang hadn't happened, there would be no universe as we know it. Space wouldn't expand because space itself wouldn't even exist. No hydrogen, no helium, no stars lighting up the darkness. Just empty blackness. But here's the strange thing about nothing. It isn't really nothing. If there's no universe, there's no time, no laws of physics, no reality. Without a beginning, the concept of before doesn't even make sense. So in a way, it's not just that we wouldn't exist. The very question, what if, would be impossible because there'd be no one to ask it. Part 3. Alternate theories. By now, you've probably realized that saying the Big Bang did not happen is a bit like saying Cinderella didn't go to the ball. Sure, it's possible, but it just doesn't seem likely. After all, scientists have built models and made predictions based on the Big Bang theory, and those predictions have mostly held up. Plus, there's no shortage of evidence pointing to its validity. However, it isn't the only idea scientists have explored. A popular alternative suggests the universe had no beginning and will have no end. Instead, it was always here in a steady state, endlessly expanding but constantly creating new matter to fill the gaps. Another theory says we might live in a multiverse and endless sea of universes bubbling up and popping like foam on an ocean. If that's true, maybe our universe wasn't the product of a single Big Bang, but just one event in an infinite chain. And then there's the idea of the Big Bounce. What if our universe expands, collapses, and then explodes back into existence again, like an eternal heartbeat? In that scenario, the Big Bang wasn't the first bang, and it won't be the last. So which of these scenarios is most accurate? Well, according to our simulation, none of them. Part 4. No Big Bang, no life. If the Big Bang didn't happen, there would be no galaxies, no stars, no planets, and no life. The chemical elements that make carbon, oxygen, iron were all forged in stars. Without the first expansion to create hydrogen and helium, there are no stars at all. No stars means no life. No life means no history. And no history means no us, no questions, no curiosity. Part 5, the big picture. So why does this thought experiment matter? Because the fact that there was a Big Bang is the only reason we're here. It's a reminder that our universe is fragile, unique, and maybe even lucky. The next time you look at the night sky, remember, every star, every atom, every thought in your mind traces back to that one impossible moment. Without the Big Bang, there is nothing. With it, we have everything. What if the universe had no beginning? As for what happens next, well, that's for another time and another episode. Thanks for watching History Rewired. If you enjoyed diving into this alternate reality, hit subscribe and join us as we explore more what-ifs from history, science, and beyond. What should we rewire next? Let us know in the comments.